The next three resolutions, 1003, 08, 09, and 10, all relate to contract modifications on the Milwaukie alignment light rail project. So, Mr. General Manager, I'll leave it up to you how you'd want to handle those.
Well, let me, as you've just outlined, let me address in broad terms all three of them. That is because they are taking us in the next step and are very much a part of the expected process. But let me explain that, and then I will come back to each resolution. You could take them all in one fell swoop, but you can also take them individually. The federal process for receiving what are called New Starts funds, that is the money that we have typically used, it's a competitive discretionary program of the Federal Transit Administration. It is used for major, either fixed guideway, for us that's light rail, or it could be used for a bus rapid transit program that meets certain things, which other properties around the nation have done. As the board president has outlined, we have always been very successful in utilizing that program. We rate very high in the scoring processes that they've used, and even though we think some of those processes have been broken, and lately there have been changes underway to be able to improve those, as we think is very important, but we've still been very successful in applying for funds. If you think back, Interstate MAX, we received in fact, substantial amount of funding for that. The Green Line, likewise, through this program. And so now we're in the process for the Portland to Milwaukie light rail. Now, the first step is that we were authorized to be able to enter, we first have to go through the alternatives analysis and environmental work and so on. But the first major work is really in the preliminary engineering, and that requires a separate approval that's granted to us by the Federal Transit Administration. That was done last year. We have been going through that preliminary engineering, and that takes us to the design level up to 30%. Once at 30%, we are able to make application to the Federal Transit Administration to enter the next phase of that, and that is to seek final design. After final design comes the actual contract signing. It's called a full funding grant agreement. We would hope that we would be somewhere around next October for final design, full funding grant agreement somewhere in the about a year from now time frame. But we have come 1 week from today, March 31st, we will be submitting that 30% design, which gives a lot more definition, a lot more clarity to the costs, much more certainty to the exact alignment, a whole series of engineering issues, as you can imagine. But post that, we will be preparing for being able to answer questions from the Federal Transit Administration, also doing other work as we are moving along. And these three contracts that are represented in these three resolutions allow us to do that post 30% design work, either to answer questions or provide more detailed information to the Federal Transit Administration, or to be able to do other parts to be able to progress this project. And so these contracts are extensions of current contracts that got us up to that 30%. In each case, those contracts were competitively bid. We were always expecting that unless they performed poorly, and they didn't, they all performed very well, and on budget, on time, that we would be utilizing their services as we move forward. So with that, I would turn to each of the resolutions separately, and then you, Mr. President, or board members can decide how you'd like to be able to take them up. The first is to be able to have a contract modification to the Hatch Mott McDonald, HMM, for supplemental preliminary engineering work on the east segment of the Portland to Milwaukie light rail project. So really from the bridge on down south, they will be doing work. As I indicated, they were chosen originally by competitive bid. This now got us through the preliminary engineering stage, and we would look toward expanding this contract to be able to allow us to be able to move forward. The modification is for $875,000, taking it to just over $3.6 million contract. As I said, they have performed very well in the first stage. This now moves us into that next stage, and we would recommend their approval.
We'll take them individually. Do I have a motion on the first? Second?
Second.
Second. Discussion?
Question.
Yes.
Yeah, just, and this would be to all three, Fred. You know, with money being as short as it is, and the hard decisions that we're making on cuts within the organization, can some of this be taken back in-house? You know, they got us going, I mean, you know, they've laid the groundwork. I know we have a capable staff, you know, engineers. Can some of it be brought back in?
Well,
Would it be-
Generally speaking, I'll have Neil maybe respond. We utilize in-house engineers. Leah Robbins, who is our main engineer in charge of the alignment here, does a lot of it. Her staff engineers as well do it. There are certain parts, however, we do think that it is more cost-effective, the least cost option, to be able to have outside expertise, things that are specialized or that are really more one-time only kind of activities. That's what's represented here. So we always balance that and do a lot of that work in-house already. But Neil?
I would just, to augment that, our first approach is always to fully utilize our in-house capability first. So to some extent, this is the overflow work, or the very specialized work that we don't have the kind of talent in-house that can handle. So for example, bridge structures or certain other detailed work that we need the expertise of a particular firm. And that's actually true for both of all three of the contracts.
Thank you.
Neil, is there any formal process? I mean, I know you review these firms, but is there any kind of formal process they go through when there's a contract? I mean, do you evaluate the possibility of going out for another round of bids, right?
Right, and actually, just to be clear, right now, we are beginning to actually procure the final design consultants that would be underway, if you will, with design in that October timeframe, presuming the Federal Transit Administration gives us the approval that we're seeking at that point. So that would be a whole new procurement, a whole new contest, a whole new series of contracts associated with that. As the general manager noted, when we procured these originally, we procured them with the notion that they would serve us through that final design milestone. And we broke the scope into what we could define needed to get to 30%, and then the second piece is what we're considering here as well.
Okay, further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Resolution 10-0309, authorizing a modification of contract.
Thank you, Mr. President, board members. Much of what I said I will not repeat. This is for, the last one was for the east side. This is for the west side. Obviously, a firm that was started in Corvallis originally is the provider of this service, that is CH2M Hill, and they have likewise, they were originally competitively bid. They have done very good work and have completed the initial scope of work on time, on budget. This would raise this contract by $801,000 to the original was at $2 million. And as Neil said, this was intended to be getting us up to that final design authorization. There'll be a new set of contractors, maybe some the same, maybe not, but it will be done competitively to be able to take us beyond that stage. Again, we would urge your approval.
Motion? So. Second? Second. Discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Resolution 10-0310, authorizing the modification of contract. Mr. General Manager.
Thank you, Mr. President and board members. Although this is the same firm, that is CH2M, this is for a very different skill set, and it is a skill set that, very frankly, we do not have in-house, and we really do expect that virtually all of this work is done by the contractor. It is for the contract work around surveying services in this alignment, and as we've briefed you on before, just by the nature of where the alignment is, working very closely with property owners. There have been some hardship property acquisitions that we have in fact recommended to you, and you've authorized. This gives us the ability to be able to really get down to that detailed level of survey services as the design progresses. This contract is a $260,000 increase over the original $500,000 contract that you authorized back in December of '08. It is for all the same purposes, that is to be able to do work that otherwise we would not be doing, able to do in-house. They have performed their work on the survey side of this very well and on time and on budget. We urge your approval.
Motion? Second? Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None.